Okay, so welcome everyone. Again, let me ask you all to please go ahead and raise your hands for me one more time to identify those folks who are directly involved with your 911 center. Okay, that is a very good amount of people. So I'm Pokey Harris. I'm the State 911 Director. My network engineer, Gary Means, was going to join us today, but unfortunately Gary was called away to South Carolina to be with his elderly parents, and he could not be here. He sends his regrets. Gary, I like to call him my brain trust because he's my technical expert, but I brought in my second string up here. So I was thinking last night as I was coming to present, I was going to do the administrative operation portion of this, but then when I realized at 10 o'clock I was going to do the technical part, I thought, that's like an EMT going to a medical conference to present to doctors. So you all know how I feel today. And being an EMT, once my niece told me, she said, Aunt Pokey, you know just enough medicine to be dangerous. So I know just enough GIS to be dangerous today. So we do want to talk to you about the importance of the importance of location and GIS in 911. And many of you in this room have heard Next Generation 911. Raise your hand if you have. Woo, Ray, keep your hand up if you want to know more about it. This is, okay, I am excited. So talking about Next Generation, or talking about 911, it's anytime, anywhere on any device that a person can reach 911 for whatever the issue is. Notice I highlighted where, because that has to do with geography and what we're doing. And in North Carolina, we're very proud to say that Next Generation 911 is now Gen 911. NextGen is now Gen, because we have realized the capabilities of Next Generation 911. And there's a young man here from Durham, and I do have to showcase the city of Durham's, city and county of Durham's 911 center, and that they have migrated to the Next Generation 911 network in North Carolina. And they are the first in the nation on a managed service contract to have their 911 traffic traverse the closed private network to accomplish this. Also, they are utilizing a hosted call handling solution to take their 911 calls, and they are receiving text to 911. So they've hit the trifecta for Next Generation 911 in the nation. Aaron said, are you sure you can use that? So as we look at 911, the methods are evolving for users to contact 911. Everybody raise your hand that's got a wearable. Your watch, your iWatch. Does your parent do you have a parent with a wearable? Do you have an alarm system that calls 911? Do you have a vehicle that calls 911? So all of these things become part of the ecosystem of 911. And our existing 911 system is constantly in a state of augmentation and upgrade to accommodate all of these demands. Every day something is happening that's making it harder on our antiquated 911 system and network to accomplish all of this traversing that single network. So our current or legacy 911 system, though it is performing adequately, is very quickly becoming obsolete and limited. I'm seeing friends, so I'm waving. So Next Generation 911 is a specialized systems of network components and functional elements. Functional elements, that's a key component of what we're going to talk about today, that integrates the delivery of the 911 service over what's called an EZNet, or an Emergency Services Internet Protocol Network. I'm happy to say in North Carolina that is the network that we're speaking about for Next Generation 911. Your 911 board, utilizing the 911 surcharge to us, we are building out that network. By the time we have the network built out, the components associated with that, and then standing up our internal NOC, as well as the GIS component, we will have invested about $118 million for the safety of our citizens in North Carolina. Today, we have 107 911 centers, or public safety answering points, that have voluntarily raised their hands to become part of Next Generation 911. Unofficially, I have 108 because I got one while I was here, so I'm going to take that. So that's 108 of 127 without any legislative mandate behind it to want to join and be part of this network. So I think that's pretty good for those folks who are volunteering and understanding what is Next Generation 911 and how this can better serve our citizens. So you folks here will know what the answer to this is. As we talk about 911, someone tell me what the primary component of a 911 call is. Speak up. Oh, and I forgot to stop and buy the pack of M&Ms I was going to give to the winner. I had to come in early for a meeting in Forsyth, but my intention was to bring a pack of M&Ms. You're exactly right. It's location, location, location. Everything in life, real estate, homes, kindergarten, everything that we do, it's all about location. But more so and more importantly, when we're the person needing assistance from 911, someone knowing exactly where to come to, whether or not I can convey to them my need, is the most important thing, the most important component. As we talk about 911 systems, and those of you here who raised your hands, and for those know what a PSAP is, but for those of you that didn't, that's a public safety answering point. That's simply your 911 center in your jurisdiction. And currently on this legacy 911 system that we have that is made up of old camera trunks and copper wire, when a call is made, the PSAP has to go through a mechanism of looking into databases across that network to find that caller. And it takes a bit of time. It takes a bit of maintenance and upkeep. I know I saw some folks said that, yes, I handle the MSAG. Where's my young lady? She and I were talking about handling the MSAG and the databases associated with that. So when a caller makes that call, it has to traverse that network, and then all of that has to take place to go out to find that caller. But in Next Generation 911, what takes place is the caller finds the appropriate PSAP or the appropriate 911 center immediately. With our testing, or with the turn up in Durham County, I believe we are at 2/100ths of a second from the time that the caller takes their finger off of that last one until it hits the network. That's pretty fast. So in our legacy call flow process, it does use those databases with fixed addresses and fixed databases comprised of addresses, address ranges, boundaries, points and landmarks. Am I missing anything involved with that? And it's based on multiple tabular databases that are managed and maintained. And often they're managed and maintained inside a PSAP's boundary, within that county, within that town. And we're not sharing that data. So if something happens outside of our jurisdiction and a 911 call is made, wireless 911 call is made, it's very likely if that call gets misrouted and comes to our 911 center today, we have no idea where that caller is. But as we move forward with Next Generation, it is that reason that we are moving forward and making that investment so that all citizens, regardless of where they are, they can summons the help that they need. So like I said, primarily those tabular databases for utilizing your selective routing databases, your automatic location identification databases, or your alleys, or your master street address guides. And for some of you, I'll give you a visual because I know you see this in your head if you maintain these, particularly as you look at your the MSAG and everything that's involved with your streets, your street ranges, your emergency service numbers, and everything has to be pretty much manually maintained. You have to keep your hands in this to ensure that it's accurate and correct. And the same with your automatic alley information. You get that. It's a cooperation with your telco or your telephone company to obtain that information. And a lot of times you have fallout or deficiencies or inaccuracies that you're constantly having to chase down and maintain and correct. So as we go to this new NextGen platform, things are going to have to change because we're going to be accommodating this almost real time, that 0.002, that call is going to traverse that network. And it'll still be in the same manner as a legacy 911 network. Everything will still go across the network to the PSAP, but the call routing will be based on the geographic location of the caller. Again, going back to that anywhere. So As we talked about just a couple slides ago, the functional elements, and that is what drives what we will be doing with the data, the mapping data, the addressing, and finding that caller and the location. In that these functional elements are designed to identify, store, and transmit information to the PSAP with that call as it goes. Keeping in mind what I said a moment ago, this information is going to go as the call is made. There's not going to have to be that time and the maintenance for the caller or for the system to go out and dip into databases and pull that back for the display of the information. So the emergency call routing and location validation occurs through a GIS system, program, or process, and it's been aggregated into a regional, or in our case in North Carolina, we're very, very proud to say into a state-level data set, and that's what we're working on. These functional elements, as I said, are very key. You'll learn terms such as emergency call routing function, location validation function, spatial interface, or ECRF, LVF, and SI. I think, are you going to present on that now, Erin? So I had hit Erin up. I said, now, Erin, this is the technical part that Gary couldn't be here for, so you're going to do that. And she said, oh, really, really? So I said, no, I'm just kidding. Oh, I've got 2 minutes. I'm almost done. I got to move on. So what's going to happen is all of those databases that I was talking about that we manually maintain in collaboration with our telco, they're going to give way to the LIS, the LDB, the location verification function, and the emergency call routing function. So this is the key takeaway today. I want to share this with you all. This is a representation only of how a 911 call will traverse a next generation network so that caller information goes with it. As the call comes in, it hits a location information server. And that serves primarily as what we know today as that alley base, that lookup for the alley. And then as it goes into the system, we're looking at the function of the location validation function and the ECRF. So that's validating everything that we've said that we have captured for addresses in our jurisdiction that's being maintained in a GIS database. And that's what I'm here to introduce to you all today and how we're going to be moving forward with that. And at the same time that lookup is happening for all of this information, it's looking at the emergency services routing protocol, similar to a selective router that we know today, but using this data, it will know exactly which 911 center to send the call to. But also, there's a capability of routing functions, policy routing functions that can be written to attach to that call that says, if then, if this call is normally going to a 911 center that we know has been hit by the flood, hit by the hurricane, and they've had to shut down, then across the EZNet, route this call to PSAP X. If we are having a function in this part of our county, we have geocached everything around that, and we have a temporary operation center set up, then route all of those calls to that temporary operation center. So the beauty of, and I know everybody uses the beauty of as that key, as a cliche, but the beauty of the EZNet and Next Generation 911 is not only the redundancy, but the capability to send any 911 call to any PSAP in North Carolina across that network at any time. So it gives you that redundancy. It gives you all of this flexibility to serve your citizens. But again, we have to have a location of the caller to do that, and everyone has to share that data. So how is this accomplished? So we had this goal in North Carolina, and it was a goal I inherited and one I'm very happy that I inherited, to look at a common GIS platform and a management or maintenance capability for this. We know that there are many GIS mapping applications already established throughout the state. The biggest thing that I want every person in here to take back home with you is that there is no intention for the North Carolina 911 Board, as we move this project forward, to question or change how you utilize your data, how your data is set up, or any existing program or application that you use. Because what we're going to introduce to you is a method and a methodology that we can take what you have and standardize it and normalize it and use it for our purposes of routing those calls. So the GIS systems and operations today, the PSAPs today, they vary. They're very capable, but some of them are disjointed. As I said earlier, we don't cross those boundaries. A lot of us don't share that data with our neighbors. There are some folks who are full-time within their jurisdiction doing the GIS. There are some folks, I have 5 minutes, and I'm almost out of time. I'm hurrying. There are some folks who have a portion of their time allocated with their PSAP to do this. There are some who are full-time, some who are contract. So we have some disjointed capabilities, but we wanted to provide a statewide 911 GIS synchronization and database management services for routing these calls, and we did employ a strategy to do this. So let me hurry along through here. One of the other things I want to say, you remain the authoritative source for this. We are encouraging every jurisdiction to look at and update their in-house standards, if you will, to meet the NENA I3 standard that we are utilizing. We did establish a GIS work group to develop a concept plan that put forth the need and to identify what we wanted to do from a 911 data schema. We developed an RFP and put that out on the street, and I was talking with John and Aaron. It was a year ago that hit the street. And with that, we were asking our vendors to provide or to collect all the data from the primary 911 centers. That included the street files, boundaries, alley information, and MSAG information as we know it today. To then take all that data and synchronize it and normalize it, utilizing alley, MSAG, and anything else, other GIS files that could be provided, to create a mechanism to support any of the discrepancies or that fallout that's going to come. And anyone that has been through any type of process like this before, when you had to provide your data, you remember the fallout that came as you were trying to get to that 98% to meet the telco's requirement. But then we're going to create a workflow so that your data can get to us, the state, and get into that process that we need to constantly maintain an accurate data set statewide. And then there will be the ongoing maintenance for this that the vendor will provide. So where are we in this process? Again, like I said, last January, we put this forward. We had 6 vendors to respond. We had an evaluation team that conducted an exhaustive review. Would that be correct? I have members, if the members of the evaluation team could raise your hand, I have 3 here, myself. Exhaustive is not exaggerated. I assure you of that. So 3 vendors advanced to the demos, 2 vendors advanced to the BAFO. A vendor selection was completed and a recommendation was made to the 911 board. And currently we are making notifications to all 6 of those vendors and contract execution is underway. So what does that mean to you as a GIS manager, GIS tech, or the liaison to your PSAP? What we're going to be doing is, as we did with Next Generation 911, the rollout of the EZNet, we began with 4 regional meetings across the state. We brought all the PSAPs together and anyone that was a decision maker for them. In this case, we're going to be inviting the PSAP managers and asking them to bring anyone associated with their addressing, and I'm almost out of time, their addressing, their database, anything. Bring them to the table. So we're going to have these 4 meetings to give you an overview of what the work process will be, our expectations, your expectations, and how we're going to do that. Then we're going to start having mini MINI meetings. And those came because we had, as we were looking at Next Generation 911, the EZNet, we had those folks who are jurisdictions that are contiguous say, hey, can you just come and talk with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of us? That served us very well. And we'll be doing the same thing as we roll out the GIS, geospatial routing portion of this. And then if there are jurisdictions who need us to individually come, meet with the folks within your county, your town, whoever it is, we will bring the project team to you and we will discuss the needs and any concerns that you have. Then we're going to look at introducing the workflow, the processes, and the procedures. We're going to be collecting that data, as I said, through the mechanism that is designed and produced just to do this by the selected vendor. Then internally, we're going to ask you, go ahead and look at implementing and enhancing processes that's going to help you to continue this on a daily basis. Then we will realize our statewide data set, which is exactly what we need. And from that, we get location, location, location from every person who calls. And I have 11 seconds, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So as we talk about anytime, anywhere, any device, it is location, location, location. But to accomplish this, the journey for this, we have to have collaboration, coordination, and communication all the way through this. And this will be about a 3-year process. So I wasn't joking when I said I will see you all a lot. And I have 14 seconds, and I know you all have questions. I'm sorry. So that lied. You said that. Oh. That's just talking. That doesn't include. I have 26 seconds. My name's Coke Harris. I'm a Leo. So we do have five minutes for questions. So who has questions about our next generation 911 geospatial routing project? Oh, come on, please. Yes.
Has notifications gone out on the regional meetings?
No, sir. What we are waiting to do is to finalize the contract with the vendor, and as soon as we can get that ironed out, we'll bring their project team and we'll send those out. That will go to the PSAP manager that we have designated. I think probably we need to try to work somehow with the GIS community to send that out to say, hey, we're coordinating these meetings. Reach out to your PSAP folks. And the reason it has to go to the PSAP folks is because it's 911 surcharge dollars that is paying for this. Just like our ortho imagery project that is delivered to the PSAP manager, in the same way we're going to be doing this as well. Yes.
Related to that, is there going to have information about regional meetings and so forth on the website that we can go take a look at?
Yes, ma'am. We are going to upgrade and enhance our website. We apologize that it's not where it needs to be.
It's fine.
No, we will be doing that. Yes, we will. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, come on. Somebody ask me something.
I just want to applaud you for what you're doing, because I think you're making a lot more strides than we are in our state. It kind of makes me nervous. I had mentioned NextGen 911 to, because our PSAP is at the county level,
Mm-hmm.
local level, and so they don't care about us on the county or the county, but now that's something I should have. I used to do it for us, I did it for 14 years. I don't do it any longer. I'm just doing this now, but I still try to keep them updated on what's coming down the pipe, and I just wish that you would take the
Well, not to diss on another state. Please don't take it as this. But those of you from North Carolina can be very proud that we are innovators. We're not even early adopters. We are considered innovators across the country for what we are doing with Next Generation 911. We have a process in place to implement this, to migrate our PSAPs. There's no cost to the PSAPs to do this. It's coming out of the 911 fund. We are seeking legislation to go ahead and to put this in place that the PSAPs do have to migrate. But about 2 years ago, legislation did allow us to earmark money and set it aside. And we are looking at it from a state project. Something of this magnitude, you have to, because you cannot do it in silos and regions or cogs. You have to do it from a statewide perspective, because that's the whole purpose. You want to be able to send any call anywhere across your state. And ultimately, we want to be able to send a call to South Carolina because you're one of our neighbors, or to Virginia if we have to, Tennessee, anywhere. So that's the ultimate goal. And just as a little takeaway piece of or tidbit of information. Attending a meeting last week in Washington, in order to build out next generation 911 across the nation, it's a price tag of about $9.7 billion to $13.3 billion. And the GIS component is a large portion of that. Oh, somebody, please. Ask me a question. No, you do not count. You will have a real technical question.
Not a promise. So how are you addressing, or do you think momentum's going to build over time to handle the counties that haven't already voluntarily participated?
The 20 that are remaining? It's a matter of us getting to them and getting more education. I would say that of those 20 that remain, they have the information. They're still looking at contracts that are in place. They're still talking to their decision makers. They don't want to raise their hand until they see what happens to those that have gone before them. And as I was talking about those one-on-one meetings, we literally are having one-on-one meetings and multiple meetings, even, and not to call them out, but I came back to Forsyth this morning. They've been involved in a couple meetings, but we came to Forsyth this morning just to talk to them specifically about some concerns that they had. So whatever it takes, but we're going to bring those 20 on. I think we'll hit it easily. One more question. One more. Actually, when I was born, I was a preemie. The nurse who took care of me, her nickname was Pokey. They started calling me Pokey after her because they couldn't decide between my two given names. It stuck. It's legal. I've had it for a lot of years. So, thank you.